Okay, so this Meetup REST API is taking shape, and we're almost ready, or I'm almost ready here to dive into these enhancements I mentioned before. But before I do that, there's one missing feature, and that's validation. The incoming data should be validated so that an empty title, for example, can't be stored. And at the moment, that's not the case. In my post route, I'm just extracting the data and then I'm storing it without checking whether it's correct. And the same happens here in the patch route, which is used for updating. And in both routes, I want to ensure that the incoming data is validated. Therefore, it's time for another request or another message to ChatGPT. And here I'll simply say, update the code to also validate incoming Meetup data in the post and the patch route. Title, summary, and address should all be non-empty strings. So that's in the end how I want to validate the data here. You could of course come up with different checks you want to add, but that's the basic check I want to perform here. I now want to make sure that I only get back the code that must be changed instead of getting all the code again, because as a developer, I'm able to then merge this code, which ChatGPT gives me, into my existing code. So I'll say only give me the updated code, not the entire code again. Also, don't give me any extra explanations. And with that, ChatGPT should go ahead and give me the updated code, and that's looking good here. I'm getting this validate Meetup data function, which is new, which contains the validation logic, and it then gives me the code for the post route, where this function is called to validate the Meetup data and to then return an error response if validation fails. And it skips the code that doesn't change. That's great. And it does the same for patch. So that's very efficient. It gives me just the code I need, which is great because it's super fast. And I can then copy this validation function into my code here and then update the post and the patch routes. So for that here in post, I'll update this code here with that code that now also contains validation. And I'll do the same down here for patching. Here in the patch route, I'll also replace this code here. And with that, I have this validation logic added here. And of course, we can also verify that this works by running this updated web server again. Of course, you must make sure that all the code was saved before you do that. And now if I try to create a new Meetup that does not have a title, for example, I indeed get back an error because that was the wrong path. So if I use the right path here, I also get back an error, but now the correct one, where this is a bad request because it's invalid Meetup data. So validating here works and likely also works for patching. Yeah, I also get back this error response if I send Meetup data without a title. So that's looking good.